Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are your legals, and we are so excited to have with us today Craig Latimer. You know, he's a supervisor of elections for Hillsborough County. And while registration for voting is closed, early voting is fully underway. It started on Monday and it goes clear through to November 1st. So please make a plan to get out and early vote. Just to give you a little bit of background about Supervisor Latimer, he is a Hillsborough County native. He was elected to his position in November 2012, and he's been reelected twice. So he's now serving his third term, and I think he's doing a great job personally. His vision is to make Hillsborough County the best place in America to vote. And if you've not had the opportunity to visit his website, I encourage you to do so. There is a wealth of information on there, not just about how to vote, but also concerning specific candidates. So inform yourself and equip yourself with the information you need to do your civic duty. So welcome, Craig.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Certainly. So can you just give us a brief description on your job? Basically, what are you responsible for as the supervisor of elections?
Right. So I'm responsible for conducting all the federal, state, and local elections that occur in our jurisdiction, which is our county here. I'm also responsible for maintaining accurate voter rolls. And that turns into being a huge task, I got to tell you, because every time somebody moves, the first thing they do is pick the phone up and call me to tell me they moved. Not really. So, it's a constant chore to keep up with these rolls. And voter education is, of course, another function that we're responsible for. And we've got just a great outreach and education programs that we do around the county.
Excellent. Can you give us an idea of what the composition of voters is party-wise in Hillsborough County?
Yeah, so we've got about 934,000 voters right now. And the way those break out are 366,000 Democrats, 293,000 Republicans, and then no party affiliation and others is 275,000.
You've got that committed to memory. Wow. I'm impressed.
No, I'm cheating. I got my phone right here. We're the fourth largest county in the state. And we are a large county.
You've got that committed to memory. Wow.
No, I'm cheating. I got my phone right.
So, according to Hillsborough County records, approximately we have a population of approximately 1.4 million residents. And as you said, roughly 934,000 are registered to vote. What would you say to those 500,000 some odd voters who have not registered?
Yeah, so that world is actually a little smaller than that, because when we look at residents, that counts everybody that's a resident here. And we may have people that are here on visas or some other, they're not citizens, so they can't register to vote. And then we've got this age-old problem too that we've been dealing with returning citizens, people that have been convicted, adjudicated guilty of a felony. And that's a big number. And if they haven't paid off their fines and fees, as you all well know, then they're not eligible to register. Our state just joined, it's called the ERIC project, ERIC, just like it would sound, right? And that stands for the Electronic Registration Information Center. It's a consortium, and I think we're the 29th state to join it. And we send driver's license information, voter information, and they mix it and match it with these other states to find people that have moved that, again, we don't know anything about. And it may be within my state they moved and I don't know about it. But one of the functions that you have to agree to is that they're also going to furnish the state with a list of potentially eligible but unregistered voters. And then the state has to actually send a postcard to them with information on how to register to vote. And that actually just happened. I think it was September 5th or 7th, somewhere around there. the state dropped something like 1.2 million postcards around the entire state, and we had several thousand of them here. Now, we have no way of knowing if the people registered, because we don't really, there's not a survey when you register that says, hey, where'd you hear about us? So, we don't know that. And we always see a huge influx right around, the presidential election, around that last day to register, which was originally October 5th, and then it had to extend it because the state had a problem with their system. We're constantly trying to hit the airwaves out there, encouraging people to register to vote. I wish it was as easy as, just saying, hey, you need to do this, and they do it.
Okay.
Well, this year has certainly been an unprecedented year for many things. And you've been in your position for a while. What are some of the things that you would say that you've seen a lot different from past years in terms of the election?
Technology, without a doubt. Let me just tell you, this is kind of an interesting story. In 2012, when I was actually running for the first time, on election day, the phone system went out about 7:30 in the morning.
Oh, nice.
I wasn't here. I was out of the office at the time.
Wow.
And it stayed out literally all day. We had a little backup plan. We brought out all the cell phones, so that we could communicate with the polling sites. Well, we did a forensic with the phone company. It's like, what happened? Why did the phones go out? And they said, well, I can tell you exactly why. You had 30,000 attempt inbound phone calls to your system.
Wow.
And I'm like, there's no way that happened. Well, let's go back. We were still using the old paper register, and they have stickers in there. So you go into register and it says voter received vote by mail ballot. So the person stops and says, hey, my records reflect you got a vote by mail ballot. Where is it? They say, well, the dog ate it or whatever. They had to stop at that point, call the office, verify that the ballot hadn't hit our office, and cancel it at the same time if it hadn't. Well, guess how many people came to vote on election day that had gotten a vote by mail ballot?
Right.
30,000.
30,000. Yeah.
Oh my word.
So now we use electronic poll books.
Okay.
We use iPads at my office. And as soon as you check in, if you had a vote by mail ballot, it automatically, it's tied in with our voter registration system. It automatically cancels that ballot, so that if somebody tried to, get funny, like right now, early vote out here, and they'd go to that drive-up tent out there and give them their ballot, and they come jump in here, stand in line for a couple minutes and go vote. They're going to get the vote because the ballot hasn't hit our room yet.
Right.
But as soon as it does, it's going to kick it out. It's not going to accept it.
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Latimer.
Craig, please.
Okay, Craig, great. So I'm Lisa. Okay. So I have a question because you're talking about technology and things. I know today was quite an interesting day for you because the word that I received is that at some point the printers had gone down. However, in that same instance today with the printers going down, I did receive word that your clerks and your clerk assistants and your staff just went right back to printing up, the ballots and so forth. But how do you manage those situations? What can you do differently to prevent that from happening, tomorrow or the next day? And then how do you catch your breath with that? That would be like a whole bunch of mini heart attacks for me.
Well, and that did happen. And, basically our internet provider went down. We had some backups in place, but the bottom line is that we're still able to function because we can do what we call direct print. So during early voting, we print your specific ballot on demand for you. You can go to any early vote site and we, print that ballot style. Well, once a voter checks in, then it's a manual process if we've lost that connection. And you're right, they did just continue working. It's a slower process. It cost us to have a few lines, but they've worked through a lot of them already. So it's that's part of what you have to deal with. That's why you have backups and fail-safe methods. So we direct printed at a bunch of these sites, and it was kind of interesting because one of our failovers was to go to the county to their internet. They had made some firewall changes, so it wouldn't let the traffic come back here. So basically, all my libraries were having an issue because they're all on county internet.
Right.
But my other buildings like Ray J Stadium and the Amalie, they had no problems at all there.
Right. So is there a way for you to prevent it? So do you suggest that maybe for the rest of the remainder of early voting, the majority go to certain polling sites over others, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the one thing that I always tell people is if you're going to early vote, before you head out the door, go to my website, votehillsborough.org, go to the early vote area. I've got stoplights on there that will tell you if there's a wait, how long it is, red, yellow, and green. And since 2016, I've added 10 additional early vote sites. So you might be shocked to find out, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this other site's, 5 minutes this way instead of 10 minutes that way, and they're green. So, that's one of the, and, unfortunately, we're creatures of habit. And you go on our website, you can see what the turnout is at every early vote site. And it's really interesting. You've got some areas like Port Tampa, which is a heavily populated area. They're having minimal turnout there. No lines, no waiting. The Amalie Arena, I think, may pick up a little bit, but I was out there the first day I actually voted, got my special Bolts I voted sticker that they made up for us. But they also surprised us a little bit because at 10 o'clock in the morning, unannounced, they brought the cup out, put it on the stage, and you could get your selfie with it or your picture.
Oh, nice.
And I think that Jerry, as a matter of fact, tweeted that out, and she increased their traffic tenfold there in a matter of an hour. So, yeah, they've been really, they've been just a huge partner. They've had the Thunderbug out there and just all around, great partners, both them and Raymond James Stadium with the Bucks. Those were two community partners that came to us, and these are both really big community assets for us here. And I mean the entire here, not just me. So this was just great for them to step forward like that, and a once in a lifetime, because if they had regular stuff going at the stadium, we'd never be there. Good chance we wouldn't be at the hockey arena either. But we're not on the ice there. Don't get excited. We're just in a standard room like all of our other early vote sites. But I've had to clarify that with the press because there's this national movement that's going on, and they show people voting in these basketball arenas, and they've got 200 privacy booths on the floor of the arena. And I'm like, oh no, wait, we're not in the club or on the football field, and we're not on the ice. We're just in a room.
Right.
Mr. Latimer, what would you say? Oh, Mr. Latimer, what would you say is the busiest location right now in the Tampa Bay area?
Bloomingdale, without a doubt. Bloomingdale's always been a heavy hitter, followed by Jimmy Keel and Jan Platt, and I caused some of the downfall for Jan Platt and Jimmy Keel because I put other sites close to them. I mentioned Port Tampa before. And what was happening was everybody in Port Tampa was just going, north up Manhattan and going to Jan Platt. We were having long waits there. And the same way that Jimmy Keel is everything out of northwest Hillsborough County was coming down Bears Avenue to get out of there, as a main traffic flow. So I added Keystone out there on Gun Highway at Van Dyke and also Northdale. And so I've taken a lot, but Jimmy Keel still does a bang up business. They're usually number 2 now. And we've had some interesting numbers around. So yeah, I was just looking at it a while ago, and they're running anywhere from 4,000 to 3,000 that they've done already, not today, but cumulative.
Wow. Thank you. And so, in light of the COVID pandemic, there's been a push and an increased need for mail-in ballots. What challenges has your office faced with the higher volume of mail-in ballots during this election?
Yeah, so a couple of things. This coronavirus started ramping up actually during the presidential preference primary in March. It was March 17th. And on March 17th, on Election Day, I had 346 poll workers that didn't show up.
Wow.
So that, put a big alert out for us that we had an issue. And of course, it continued. And I got to tell you, I put some challenge to my staff, and they came up with some great ideas. And the one thing that we started with right away is that every bit of our poll worker training is now online. We don't do any in-person training, and it's phenomenal. I mean, we're getting just tremendous feedback from it, to the point that somebody can take the training and then, the night before the election, they're going, "Oh my gosh, I forgot what to do with the provisional ballot. Oh, let me just go back and look at the training and refresh my memory on that part." So, they're able to use it as a resource. We also reached out to the Tampa Bay Chamber, the Tampa Bay Partnership, Team Tampa Bay, and we worked with them. They challenged, like the businesses in the chamber, give your employees time off to work the polls. Give them civic leave. The county's had civic leave for years. So September 1st was the National Poll Worker Recruitment Day, and the Rays, the Lightning, the Bucks, all through Team Tampa Bay, the USF community, they blitzed the airwaves, social media, unbelievable. Well, that response was that I actually had to hang out the "No More Help Wanted" sign. I literally, I use about 2,200 poll workers on election day. I had 2,900 more than I needed.
More than double. Wow.
Yeah. So, with that, we knew we were going to see a big increase in vote by mail too, because in the primary, it jumped. Normally in our county, a third of our voters vote by mail, a third vote early vote, and a third vote on election day. Nice way to spread it out. In the primary election, 68% of the people voted by mail. And we saw the requests just going crazy. I see you raising your hand there. I see you wearing your "I voted by mail" sticker, though.
Yeah.
There it is. I see it now. Yeah. So, we knew that was going to happen. But here's the real deal on this. The state of Florida has had no excuse vote by mail since 2002. I told you a third of our voters already vote by mail. We knew it was going to be a volume increase, but we know how to do this. I've got this huge machines. I invite you to go on my website. There's some great video on there of this Blue Crest ReliVote machine, where we are capable of assembling like 40,000 vote by mail packages a day in an 8-hour shift. And the other side is a sorter where it sorts it so fast you can't even see it. And we, when it's outgoing, it goes to the 5-digit postal code so that we get a discount on it. And that's also the same machine. Then we get the return envelope that has that barcode on it that designates who that voter is and that that's a legitimate election that envelope is used in. It also, when we get those envelopes back, it clips a picture of the signature on the back of the envelope where the vote by mail person has to sign. And then electronically, we distribute that around the office to the different workstations. So we don't have ballots hanging around on desks. They're all kept in one place. So it's just a matter of ramping up that that volume for vote by mail. And we worked a little bit extra shifts when we put it all together. We never worked 2 shifts before until this election, but we did. And I also did that for COVID, quite frankly. I didn't want everybody in here to work a 12-hour shift, and then if something happened, I got to send the whole crew home. So we split them up into 8-hour shifts and kept their shift together. So if we would have had a problem, we would have only had to send home one of the crews. So it's a lot of work. I tell you where you really and let me mention this too. By law, we can begin counting those vote by mail ballots 22 days before the election. So that's why on election night, the very first thing that we push out are the vote by mail totals and the early vote. So that goes to that myth about we don't count vote by mail unless there's a big enough difference, right? Those are the first votes that are put out. And all we'll have left at that point, and the precincts will start rolling in after that. And then we'll have the ballots that we've received up till 7 o'clock on election day that we'll have to deal with. And interestingly enough, in 2018, that was 10,000 ballots that came in on election day. Now that sounds like a lot, but you know what? We had 570 or 550,000 people voted. So 10,000 out of 550,000 is not that many.
So to be clear, Mr. Latimer, and I think we need our people to hear this very clearly, but to be clear, the mail-in votes do count Once they're received, they do count. They're not waiting for a tiebreaker or a close
And
number.
you can track that ballot back to my
Yes.
office on my website, and it will show you when I received it and when it's counted.
Good.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes. So, and I've been talking, I'm currently the president of our state association, and I've been getting a lot of calls from around the country because that line is out there about, we're not going to know results for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever it is. And I keep telling everybody, Florida is really in a great position this time to be the shining star on election night.
Finally.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of these. Now, Hillsborough County always is, but I can't pull everybody along. But yeah, so we're going to have results. We're going to have and they're unofficial results, and that's another thing that we've been really trying to educate people. Those results stay unofficial till at least 12 days after the election. There's a reason for that. And Attorney O'Connor mentioned it earlier. We have to have time built in there for a recount.
Mhm.
If we have a recount, you're still using unofficial numbers, and they're not going to be official until after that recount's done, and we certify, the canvassing board certifies those results. And that takes place 12 days after the election. You also need to remember, and I always try to be careful with this now too, because it's a two-edge. Federal law, we have to accept overseas military and civilian ballots up to 10 days after the election, as long as they are postmarked by election day. We can count them in the federal races. Different from people here that get our vote by mail ballot stateside that aren't military. They have to have that ballot in my office by 7 p.m. on election night. So that's why you're going to continue to see votes go up. We also, a voter's got till 2 days after the election to cure a problem with a signature or no signature on a vote by mail ballot. Somebody that votes a provisional ballot also has until 2 days after the election to rectify that, remedy it if there is a remedy. So again, you're going to see more votes come in at that point.
Craig, explain what a provisional ballot is. Some people might not know what that is.
So everybody thinks provisional ballots are awful, and they are not. They are an insurance policy, and they're great. Let me tell you, yesterday I had a canvassing board meeting, and we accepted like 36 provisional ballots that have already been cast for early vote. And the biggest amount of them, you know what it's for? People forgot their ID. We didn't turn them away. Here, vote a regular ballot. Now you have to fill out this provisional envelope, and you have to sign it. And when we get that envelope back to our office, the first thing we do is compare the signature, just like we do on a vote by mail ballot. And if it matches, that voter has to do nothing else. Nothing. If it for some reason didn't match, we immediately communicate with them. They've got a tracking number. They can go online on my website and see what's going on. So, the biggest reason that I see vote by mail ballots not accepted by the canvassing board are A, the person is not registered to vote. And believe it or not, we get people show up not registered to vote. Now, we're also going to get the ones that, might have registered October 7th and think they can come vote, and they're not going to be able to. But that's number one. The second one is the ones we see on election day, and it's people that show up at the wrong polling site and refuse to go to the correct polling site and insist on voting. And, quite frankly, I'm not going to have my poll workers sit there and argue with somebody.
right.
Vote a provisional ballot. But, it's like we had a couple others that they couldn't find them in the voter files. Well, they had hyphenated names, they weren't putting them in right or whatever the case may be. But, that gave us time to research it here with people with a lot more experience looking into our voter registration files. So those are the ones that it's a great insurance policy. I know there's a huge myth out there that, provisional ballots never get counted. And quite frankly, in my office, the bulk majority of provisional ballots do in fact get counted.
So is a voter who cast a provisional ballot made aware that, their ballot has been counted?
Yes, they can go right on our website. They're given a number, and they can go on the website to check the status of their provisional ballot. Yeah, we don't proactively reach out to them. They need to, I talk about voter responsibility once in a while, and that's one of those cases. And another one, I've mentioned this cure several times for no signature. Right now, we've got 600 vote by mail ballots. 200 of them have no signature. 400 of them, the signature does not match at all.
Right.
We've been, I've got a group of people doing nothing but try to reach out to these people. 150 people have already remedied that situation. But I take you back to the primary, we had 700 of those ballots in that same class there. 346, almost half of the people cured them. The other people are like, I'm busy, I got other things to do. So, it's like, I Wednesday, in the primary, Wednesday after election day, I had somebody show up at the front counter and said they were here to vote. That's not going to work either. There's some voter responsibility here.
Right.
And I'm telling people right now too, if you're going to early vote and you wait till next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you're going to stand in line. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some lines out here, and I've seen people walk off already from here. Now, I hope their plan is that they're going to come back, or maybe they're going to vote by mail, or whatever they're going to do. I hope they're not just going to walk off. And that's why I continue to preach: have a plan.
Right.
And make sure you stick to your plan. And I tell people too, if you're going to vote election day, which is the very last day to vote, I hope when you get up in the morning, you're not sick. Somebody you have to take care of isn't sick. Your car starts.
Right.
All those things. You walk out and oh my God, I got a flat tire. You want them to throw your whole day off. And what are you going to do now?
Right.
Not vote, unfortunately.
Just to be clear, when you are voting, and my thought has been fleeting just now, I apologize, but just to be clear, when you are early voting and so forth, now that it's taking place, is it still too late to ask for a mail-in ballot?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, October 24th, is the last day to request a vote by mail ballot.
Oh.
By law, 10 days before the election.
Okay, let's do that again.
I was going to say, it's tomorrow, October 24th, but it's not too late. You can do it right now. Go to my website, votehillsborough.org, request that vote by mail ballot. It's really simple to do. Or call my office, 813-744-5900. Now, let me add to that, too. 10 days before the election is the last day to get it. I then have 48 hours to mail that to you.
Okay.
That's 8 days. It's going to get to you about 4 or 5 days before the election. It's going to be too late to mail it. You're going to have to drop that at an early vote site if it's still during early voting.
Right.
Or drop it at one of my 4 offices. But the early vote sites are so easy. 26 early vote sites around the county.
Right.
So when must those mail-in ballots be postmarked?
Okay, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I was saying it is safe to do with the mail-in ballots.
Can one of y'all tell me? I couldn't hear.
Confirming whether it is safe to actually do mail-in ballots, or should people be concerned about interference or so forth?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I'm watching these postmarks all the time, and I'll take you back again to the primary election. I had 2,000 ballots that we received after election day, and I looked at every single one of them, and it was astounding. Wow. Just like the gentleman that showed up at my front counter to vote on Wednesday, that election was August 18th. I actually saw numerous ballots where the voters signed it and dated it August 20th. It was postmarked August 20th, and I received it the next day. So the post office is doing a great job getting the stuff to us. The voter wasn't doing a really good job on mailing it, though. That's for sure. And I heard something about postmarks, and I'll repeat again that that's a stateside ballot. We do not recognize postmarks.
Right.
Only overseas ballots.
Right.
So if you're here in the States and you've gotten a vote by mail ballot, you have got to have that back into the supervisor's office by 7 p.m. on election day.
Absolutely.
Understood.
So to clear things up, I just want to be sure, because I know we don't have a lot of your time. And so we do appreciate the time that we have of yours. But to clear things up, some key takeaways. One is that you need to have your ballot in the box by 7 p.m.
Not the mailbox.
Not the mailbox, in the ballot box.
Yes.
So if you all are, just keyword out there to our followers and our watchers and so forth, if you all intend on doing your mail-in ballot, if time is running nigh, if time is drawing close, go to one of the local early voting sites that you can find on the website and drop it in the box, or go to one of the 4 elections offices here in Hillsborough County, drop it in the box. Okay? Further,
Actually, at Falkenberg, at my election service center here, we actually have a 24-hour drop right by the front door.
oh, y'all, it's 24 hours. Stop playing, okay? So, and then to be sure, like our ID, it is not just a Florida driver's license that's required. Am I correct?
No, there's 12 acceptable forms of identification, and kind of interesting. You know, I talk to groups. I really talk about that we have, I think, one of the best ID laws in the country as far as what you have to show to vote. There's 12 acceptable forms of identification, and it says a photo and signature, and it doesn't have to be on the same thing.
Right.
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 Now, Florida driver's license, that's the easiest one for us. Because you come to vote in person, we're actually scanning that QR code on the back to look you up in our voters system.
Okay.
But like somebody pointed out to me the other day, that these people now that are turning 18 and 19, they don't even have driver's license because all they use is Uber or those little scooters out there, so they don't need a driver's license.
Right.
But yeah, passports, student IDs, even to the point, and that's a proud moment for me. It also says that you can use homeowner association IDs. Right?
There we go.
And I'll tell you right now, I helped a group do that because, as you well know, we've got people in our county and city here that maybe weren't born in a hospital and maybe don't have a birth certificate to even start with. You know, so this was just, you know, it's one of those, boy, I feel good moment because I know that I helped some older people, some more mature people that probably had trouble with ID being able to vote.
And to be clear, Mr. Latimer, and this is one of my favorites, so correct me if I'm wrong, if they have a picture ID and they need something that has a signature on it, they can use a credit or debit card. All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Or if you belong to Sam's Club and get the one with your picture and signature on it.
Right?
Yes.
Now, here's the caveat. Here's the caveat. ID must be valid. Right? Can't be expired.
Right.
It has to be valid. So, yeah, it's like, you know, we'll get people come in with a New York driver's license. We can't use the picture, but we can use the signature.
Okay.
Perfect. So then with that being said, Mr. Latimer, we're going to go ahead and give you your final, take us out with some words, and then I'll go ahead and wrap us up, okay?
You got it. Hey, you know, my words are pretty simple. If you haven't voted yet, you need to get out and vote. And you need to do it now, sooner than later, because we're just going to continue to have lines built at these early vote sites. Go on my website, look at those sites, see if there's a wait or not. I can tell you that every morning that I've come to work, I've had a line prior to 7 o'clock at this office. So, you know, the first day we had 10 people in line at Amalie Arena, the first time we've ever used it, right? And they were all socially distancing too. That was the best part. But, you know, have your plan. Yeah, it's too late to register to vote for this election, but it's never too late to register. And you know, get involved. Your voice is your vote. Your vote is your voice. And you know, I tell people too, the local elections are the ones that impact you more than anything.
No,
your county commissioner and city council members, those are the people responsible for your quality of life issues. Making sure your garbage is picked up, making sure your road doesn't have potholes in it that take your tire off the rim.
Right.
And they're the ones, you know, the school board's a taxing authority. They can tax you more money. You know, we pre-register high school students, 16 and 17-year-old. We tell them, hey, how do you like the dress code here? And they're like, oh my God, it's terrible. Well, let me tell you how you can change that.
Right.
Register to vote, and when you turn 18, you know, you can get a new school board member in here and get the dress code you want. But these local elections are important, and that's why it's important people vote down the ballot. I hate to tell you this, but we're going to have probably a 30,000 vote drop between president and the next race. Because people come and vote every 4 years for president, and they go home. They don't vote for anybody else.
Right.
So get out there and vote. And thank you all for what you're doing. of helping to educate people out there and get them fired up.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And so just as a gentle reminder before we go ahead and take you all out, as Mr. Latimer has said, make a plan, go and vote. Early voting sites now, you can go to votehillsborough.org and see all of the early voting sites you have from October 19th until November 1st, 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Let your voice be heard. Make a plan, make a vote. All right, guys, this is Legals. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you all again next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.